Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. We're just a few days away from Trump's inauguration, which is really an exciting time for gun owners. And I just want to make a quick video about a very hot topic that you hear a whole lot about, a whole lot of discussion, and that is suppressors. And hopefully Trump's going to deregulate a lot of the paperwork and hopefully the tax stamp and a lot of the hoops that you have to jump through to get a suppressor and the waiting period, and which I think silly to begin with, because a suppressor is just a piece of equipment that reduces sound, is all that it is. So it's the same school of thought as an AR. You don't take a good law-abiding citizens that's just good people, give them an AR and it turns them into mass murderers. It just doesn't happen. So the same thing with a suppressor. Just because somebody gets a suppressor, that does not turn them into a murderer. They're not going to be a good, upstanding, law-abiding citizen, then get a suppressor, and then all of a sudden have evil intent. A suppressor does not change the person. It does not change their actions. It does not change their intent. Suppressor, all it does is suppress the sound, reduce the decimal level of a firearm being shot. So having said that, we've had some questions on our channel, of course others too, about shooting a firearm in the house, and safe hearing and the decimal levels. Now, we have always recommended hearing protection at the range. If you go and shoot, make sure that you have hearing protection. Regardless if people say, well, I'm just going to shoot a few rounds or a small caliber, you always wear hearing protection. Now, the reason that we said we didn't recommend hearing protection inside the house in a home invasion situation is, realize if we have to shoot or use our firearm in the house, that our life's at stake. It's a matter of life and death. Our kids, our wife, our loved ones' well-being is at stake. And if somebody has, as we've said in other videos, leaped the hurdles of the dogs, the locks on our door, the alarm system, then it's a matter of life and death. And that's why we don't want to be fooling with hearing protection. And I've heard people say, well, just lay the a couple of earplugs on your nightstand. But here's the thing, we all know how those work. If you grab some earplugs and you have to roll them, you have to set them, put them in your ears, give them time to set, then once they set, then you won't be able to hear going through your house. That's why I never recommended those, because seconds matter. If somebody's in your house, I don't want to be fooling with earplugs or hearing protection. And I know they make the game ear, which are earmuffs that will let you hear normal sounds, normal volume levels, but if it gets above a certain decimal, then it'll muffle the sound. And those are pretty neat, but those require batteries, and still something that requires batteries, you having to put on, trying to turn on, adjust, then go through your house. Like I said, the only time you would have to shoot inside your house is when somebody is in your home during a home invasion. In that case, like I said, your wife, your kids, yourself is an immediate threat, immediate danger. Yes, your hearing is important. Yes, protecting them is important, but your family, to me, was more important. That's why I said I never recommended ear protection for in the home. But that's a concern a lot of people have, is even though we want to protect our family, we don't want to have hearing loss. We don't want to damage our hearing. And we all know if your home defense weapon is something like an AR-15 or an M4 carbine shooting the 5.56, that's way above the safe decimals that your ears can hear without hurting them. So that would be could be the answer. Now that Trump's getting ready to take office, and hopefully we'll see a much easier being able to get the suppressor now. So that could be the answer for home defense, is being able to safely shoot the weapon that you want without compromising the weapon, without damaging your hearing. Because some people are afraid of damaging their hearing and would compromise the weapon that they really want to protect their family with, one that, this way you get the best of both worlds. You can run the weapon that you want to run without worrying about hearing loss. But the thing I would caution you is, if you do run a suppressor on your AR-15 or M4, is trained with it. Don't just go to the range a few times and shoot it and say, yeah, it works, and throw it under the bed. And just because you're used to your AR-15 or your M4 and you can maneuver with it, when you add that suppressor onto your gun, that's going to make the overall length of your gun a lot longer. So you need to be careful whether you run muzzle up or muzzle down. Something you need to train with and take into consideration, because just because you're used to your gun the way it is, like I said, when you add on the length to that barrel, and if you run muzzle up and you run through the house and you hit the top of the door facing, that could be an issue, because your mind's not going to be on that suppressor in the middle of the night when you hear that the door crash or whatever, the alarm go off, and you get your gun. If you're not trained and you don't think about it, you're going to run through there, and that could be detrimental, or even corners of a door, or door facings, or not just the top of the door, the sides of the door, walls, things that you need to take into consideration the overall length. And after you add a suppressor, that is one thing I would caution you. And even for shooting pistols, there's a fella lives in the next county over from where I do, and he's got a deck that goes out off his back porch, and he goes outside and he likes to shoot against a bank, and he's got targets set up, a real nice setup. And he's retired and got a covered porch, and just a great guy. But he had some neighbors complain about him shooting guns, and it wasn't because they were anti-gun. So, but if you don't have a range or a farm you can go to or somewhere out, you do have to take neighbors into consideration. Again, it's not they're anti-gun or anything. It's just because it's a beautiful day and you're retired and you go outside and shoot off the back porch. Your neighbor, and he lived in a subdivision. It wasn't in city limits, but it was a subdivision where he had several neighbors. Just because you're retired doesn't mean the guy next door to you is. He could have just come in off midnights and just laid down trying to get some sleep, have to go back out to work the next night while you're out here shooting. I can understand, where we need to take our neighbors into consideration. Or, a young woman just have a newborn baby and brings it home, and she's tired and just gets the baby to sleep, and they're both trying to rest, and all of a sudden you're shooting. I can understand where there could be some complaints, but that's what he done. He got him a couple of suppressors, went out back, and he said since he's got those suppressors, he has never had one complaint. So it's worked out great for everybody. So when you go out to the range, you can wear earplugs, earmuffs, no big deal. But for a situation like him, to have a couple of suppressors on a couple of guns that he had, that he can go out and still shoot and still enjoy himself without disturbing the neighbors, I think's great. And if you've had concerns, like we said, about hearing protection, hearing loss, worrying about what it's going to be like to fire in the house, I would certainly recommend a suppressor over trying to fumble with stuff. This way, this does not hinder you at all as far as being able to get to your gun and going through the house, other than watch the muzzle length, train with it. Whether, like I said, even if you go low ready, still just be used to having that extra suppressor on there, because if you've ran it for 5 or 10, 15, 20 years and you're used to your gun, like I said, when you add that on there, just don't forget to train and keep an eye out for the way your house is laid out. I just want to keep you safe, just want to protect your ears, just want to protect you and your family, and I hope this helps. Just something to think about. So we're really excited about a president that loves the Constitution, that loves the Second Amendment. He spoke at the last NRA convention, and he loves the Constitution. He loves America, and we're certainly thankful, and we're excited about it. And may God bless you. The Kentucky Patriot, signing off.